Hey everyone, welcome back to the Soundcore podcast. This is now season 2, episode 1. Where did that go, Sean? It's gone so quickly.
Know. Crazy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man, and happy New Year to our guest as well. Very warm welcome to Max Fergus, CEO of LÜM. Max, how's it going?
Going great. Sean, Lawrence, thank you so much for having me. Really excited to, get the chance to work with both of you, as well as obviously, further, I think, all of our missions of obviously, being advocates for independent music and all of the exciting things that comes with. So excited to get the chance to talk to everybody and tell them a little bit about, everything that's in store.
Yeah, awesome, man. We really appreciate you coming on, and I'm just so excited for this because we've just said it on numerous occasions that what LÜM is doing, we just absolutely love what you guys are doing in terms of supporting emerging musicians, and we really want to be behind that as well. So this is going to be a really, really cool podcast. But before we do dive into LÜM, let's talk a little bit about you, Matt, because I've been doing my homework, and I say homework, I mean that means stalking. So jumped on LinkedIn and had a look around, and man, so graduated from University of Wisconsin, right, with a degree in finance, investment, and banking.
Yeah,
you've worked in Shanghai, China, as a financial analyst, as well as over at Rothschild in New York. Mm-hmm. And then you went from Wolf of Wall Street to LÜM. So that was a big that's a big jump, man.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because, they always assume that if you start a company in college, it's got to be either around booze or music. And I hate that stereotype so much because my background is in neither, at least originally. But I both my parents were biochemists actually growing up. And so I went into college thinking that I wasn't good enough at science, but I really I could do the finance side of it. So spent some time in Shanghai, spent some time in San Francisco. And then going into my senior year, the University of Wisconsin was having, I think, a little bit of an identity crisis. And, at that time, we were really trying to see how a university like Wisconsin could better compete with universities like Stanford and Harvard that, are taking these kind of undergraduate business models and creating flourishing companies after kids left school. And so during my last year, kind of on a whim, I started a little bit of a think tank with some other students and alumni. And originally, it wasn't even necessarily just music that we were looking into, but it was really just streaming technology. And it didn't take us very long to figure out that there's a lot of cool technology out there and that music needs to start using some of it a little bit more wisely to support some of the amazing independent musicians around the world. So, on the day I graduated from college, I called my job, told them not to expect me on the first day of work, and was going to pursue my dream in entrepreneurship and start a company that was in the exact opposite of courses I had spent the last 4 years learning about, as we all do in some cases, I suppose.
That is brave. Like, I could not imagine kind of, graduating university and then, first day doing my job going, nah, not for me. Change your mind.
Took a while to get the parents to come around to it.
Yeah. How did they react to that?
I think my dad's original words out of his mouth were, if you don't take that job, I'll disown you. And then now our biggest supporter, of course. But yeah, I mean, it is so interesting. Jeff Bezos has this quote. It's, you need a lot of planetary alignment early in your startup life cycle. And I think we were very, we worked hard enough to get lucky enough, a few times, to the point that we've gotten to do something that not a lot of people, I think, get the chance to do when they start a company. And that's actually launch a product, or actually launch a platform. And now that we've gotten to do that, we've really been able to, I think, prove that there's a new future out there for the fan and the artist in music. And we're obviously excited to continue to grow that, I think, here, with Soundcore as well.
Definitely. So let's talk a bit about that then. So yeah, LÜM, kind of a lot of the Soundcore audience won't be introduced to that yet. I mean, it was actually very recently we've been teasing, our own kind of new product launch that we're now really kind of building up for. And part of that product launch, we had this virtual reality escape room, which we call the audio escape room. And we let the customers know in advance. There's a lot of Easter eggs in there to watch out for, and we actually had the LÜM poster on one of the walls, and not subtle at all, but one of the answers to the puzzles was literally LÜM, and it unlocks this thing to find the invitation box. So it was all in there. And so I think there's some, actually, Sean, I think even you were kind of like, you couldn't believe how many of the clues they'd stitched together, right?
Yeah, I was in complete shock because sorry, because I'm fairly new, like, to the community. Even though I'm 6 months in, they still surprise me all the time. And Lawrence was like, I was going through some of their answers, and I was like, this is insane how much they're really picking up on. Like,
so they know a little bit, but for those that don't, can you just like walk us through what is LÜM?
Absolutely. So even to backtrack a little bit, when we were really first starting to look at the music space, we saw all of these companies that, and not even in music, but that, are starting to leverage like new streaming technology, not just to create new business models for the companies themselves, but to create new business models for the end consumers. All of the amazing creators we're starting to see in so many different industries, whether it's Twitch and Fortnite for live streaming for esports gamers, right? Or short form video content for influencers, right? Or karaoke, for musicians, right? So we're seeing all of this new, whether it's streaming technology or virtual gifting technology, really being utilized to support so many new business models for creators. And the truth is that for the most part, we just haven't seen that evolution in music yet, right? So many independent artists, and Sean, I'm sure you can back this up, but so many independent artists, especially in Western music streaming, are still so gridlocked by royalty and licensing payments and pay to play and competing with people that they really just can't compete with. And, the industry is right now followers and streams, and we're starting to see, whether it's even OnlyFans or something like that, move to something that's relationships and actually extracting value from your content and your fans. And that's really what LÜM is. LÜM is leveraging new technology to create a new digital ecosystem for really the next generation of artists, right? So our ecosystem is really built on a digital music community that acts as the home and kind of the toolkit almost for independent artists, right? So you're an artist and you come onto LÜM, and basically it's all around two things. And it's around collaborating and networking with creators, right? Grow their fan bases, work with each other, make new music. And then it's also about actually better controlling, forming new relationships, and sharing content with fans, right? So it's really, I almost hate describing it as like a social music community and music streaming platform, but that's very much so the way in which a lot of people think about it. But really it is this kind of full ecosystem that just in this first year of launching on iOS, we now have more than 100,000 musicians that have come onto the platform, created over 300,000 tracks, and actually in January, LÜM became the first US music streaming platform to actually allow for the direct financial support of independent artists using virtual gifting technology. So taking what we've seen work so well in esports and live streaming and really bringing it to musicians for the first time. So, it's really an artist and the ability for them at every stage of their career to form new and maintain great relationships with other creators as well as the fans that they have, right? Giving everybody really a chance to make a viable income from the passion that they have for their career, as well as to meet, an amazing community of other people that are either looking to support new artists or find new artists, or also work with them on the collaboration side. So we launched in late 2019, launched our virtual gifting platform for artists in January, and actually just launched our Android and desktop platforms in October. But I think out of everything that we're excited about, by far the biggest thing is that in the first year, we're seeing artists on LÜM making almost 4 to 5 times as much money per stream as every other music streaming platform in the United States, but all from virtual gifting technology and voluntary support from fans. Just a whole new business model that really, I think it has allowed us to show that millions of people believe that independent musicians deserve to make more money. And we're really just giving them the medium and the technology to actually be able to go out and form closer relationships with their favorite artists and actually be able to give them experiences that they can't get on other services, to a point that they're actually really, really excited to be able to support monetarily the artists that they probably haven't been able to by buying an $8 streaming subscription to something like Spotify. So it's been a wild ride, but we're having fun with it.
I think it's awesome. Like, being a musician that's been in that situation before, of like, I think along the years there's been so many new platforms, and I know I've sat in meetings before when I was in a band, being invited in to trial new platforms, and I used to get really excited of, oh, amazing, we're going to be even closer with the fan. It takes away like the middleman of, I want to upload a song, okay, this person's going to take a slice of it along the way, then it's going to get down the line. And I just love that, yeah, like you said, you're already seeing success where independent artists are now on the same level playing fields, because I think that's what services like Spotify start out as, but then it kind of does get lost. You get lost amongst the noise because the big players come in. And I think I'm really excited that we're partnered up in something that's so cool and working with these grassroots level musicians. It's so cool.
Yeah. And Spotify is a great service. I don't think we want to detract about that from anything. The way in which we think about Loom is, we're a graduation platform to something like Spotify. The barrier to making money as a musician on a real royalty, music streaming service, it's just high, right? And so everybody that comes onto Loom still releases their music on other platforms, but it's about being able to identify who your super fans are and actually really to finally be able to own and control the distribution of your content directly to, your community of fans. It's supposed to work with, your other social medias, work with your streaming services, to form the tightest base of your community and be able to use that community as a catalyst for your own growth. And so we do have great relationships with even some of those other platforms. And I think that's what really gets us excited about Loom, for sure.
I think it's a real ray of light, to be honest, to come out of 2020 as well. Like, because Sean, the number of emerging musicians that we've spoken to over the past year, that there was Danny Gruff, and we did a podcast with him, which was named Launching Albums Under Lockdown, because he just spent all this time, like putting into that. And so to be able to have a platform like Loom, which does put more money and more power back into the hands of these people who need it the most, is just awesome. And like you said, it's just giving them that option as well, because you're not saying you have to be exclusive with Loom. You can still use those other platforms, but it just gives them that ability to do more if they want to.
I think you kind of what you said was really cool is you're able to identify like your super fans. Like you can, like we just spoke about Danny releasing his album. He can't go out and play shows, but it also by using Loom, you have that extra platform where, hey, I can't be at your show to support you, but here I can use this new technology and support you through this. Like, yeah,
I mean, the case study really is, you have an artist that has a great social media, has music streaming, but still isn't forming the relationships they need to, or making the money that they can, right? And so you drop music, the artist will come on, they'll drop music on Loom, 2 weeks before they'll drop it on another service, invite their fans to actually come engage with them, talk with them, get the chance to experience their music. They identify who their super fans are from their social medias, right? Out of 50,000, maybe there's 500, maybe there's 50, maybe there's 5, right? Identify who those super fans are, probably make enough money to be able to pay your rent or be able to at least get gas. And, that's all before you've even started your pre-save campaign on Spotify. It is really supposed to work with these other services. It's just a platform for you to be able to grow your community and your fan base, right? It's almost like bringing OnlyFans to music, or like bringing Patreon into social media, into the mainstream, right? But it's really centered around what has turned into a really, really supportive and I think genuine community of people that really just all care about the same thing the most. And that really is music.
So Loom has been going for, is it about 3 years now? Is that right?
No, Loom launched only on iOS in 2019. So, we're infantile, but it's it's been a little bit of a steeper growth, I think, from launching, but we launched in 2019, and a few short months after that launched virtual gifting in January of this year.
That is insane, just kind of how much growth you guys have had in such a short time. So can you walk us through, in that short time, what's been the biggest challenge so far?
Honestly, I think it's probably been getting the next generation of music lover to realize that there's a better future out there for them as an artist or a fan, right? Like I've almost stopped using that LÜM is like a social media platform, because it immediately makes people feel like what they should use it for is to scrape and claw and, basically promote their way to a few extra streams or a few extra followers. And it's like people almost don't even realize the full value of what LÜM is, right? It is a genuine community building tool for artists to be able to genuinely make more money from their content and form deeper relationships with their fans, as well as meet other artists and collaborate with them. Right. And so I think the biggest challenge for us has been making sure that people realize what LÜM is and ultimately the potential of how they can use it as an artist to grow their career.
That must be really hard to drive home, because when you, like you just said, when you do say social media, you think, okay, Facebook, Twitter, just networking. And then when you think streaming platforms, so no one's ever really seen the combination of those two things as well in the music industry, at least. So,
and one that tries to put money in the pockets of the artist, I think, is the big one, right? You see so much of it now. I mean, Spotify just came out with their new feature, but it's effectively pay to play, white labeled, and now you can pay for promotion playlists, things like that. And, it has really been interesting. We have artists on LÜM that'll make $100 in the first 2 weeks on the platform from inviting their 10 biggest fans to just come listen to their music early and support them. And then they'll still turn around and take that $100 and go, buy reposts on another service or so. It's so interesting to see artists finally making money for the first time, and not all of them even care about making money as much as they do about the chance to go viral, right? So I think there's a big paradigm shift coming in the music industry of these artists realizing that the world is greater than just the chance to go viral on TikTok, but that you can build a real sustainable income and meet genuine people that really want to either work or support you. And it's not just all about followers and streams, but sometimes it's really about actually making money and putting food on the table.
Definitely.
Yeah. What's the feedback you've been getting from the music industry itself? Have you had any challenges within the music industry? Maybe, I don't know, because I know what sometimes certain people in the industry are like.
Hey, the music industry doesn't want to change, right? That's just the nature of it.
That's the angle I'm getting at. Because you guys want to bring, exactly that change. Have you had pushback from areas, or are people being quite receptive to it?
I think record labels is a good example, because it's a little bit on both sides, right? On one side, record labels love LÜM because we are a completely organic digital talent pool, right? Instead of just, now there's these services that, we can tell you what an artist's social media metrics are and also what their streaming metrics are. And it's supposed to be the new solution for A&R, right? But for LÜM, our A&R is what artists are actually making money, right? What artists actually have fans? What are people really listening to in the underground music, scene? And so we've gotten a lot of interest on the record label side, on the streaming side, because the race to find, the next big thing is always going to be there. And LÜM is now one of the largest DIY music streaming platforms in the United States. And so we really have become almost this digital talent pool for consumer behavior and, who's going to blow up. But at the same time, obviously we have gotten some pushback from people in the industry that don't want to see the royalty and, licensing business model go away, or they don't want people, they don't want always artists to know that there's potentially a better path forward for them, so there's been pushback, but we've also met a lot of really, really phenomenal people like both of you that really do see the potential of LÜM and want to support it. Right. So I think just as much pushback as we've gotten 10 times as many people that really want to be part of something that really has a chance to change more than just a few musicians.
I think that's what caught my eye as well, is like you talk about pushback, but I think in equal measure you've probably had a lot of support, and it was really impressive when I actually went on your website and saw, for example, that you've got Neo behind you, so this kind of Grammy award-winning artist, right, kind of really going for the brand. And if someone of even his stature is saying, this is the platform to be on, and pushing away from not saying don't go on these other streaming platforms, but that just shows this is something to pay attention to, for sure.
Yeah, and his story really resonates with it too. He had his bad experiences with some of the labels, obviously, when he was coming up. And I think the big thing for Neo is, one, he really wants to get into technology. We're seeing a little bit of that movement, I think, in general, with a lot of larger artists that want to diversify their portfolios a little bit. And so for Neo to be able to get into tech, and also to get into something that I think resonated so closely with his mission, now that he's gotten to the mountaintop and can look back and find tools like Loom that he wished he would have had, maybe going through, the early stages of his career. It had to have been one of the easiest partnerships for us to form, because there was so much mutual interest, I think, genuinely on both sides of it.
I don't want to talk too much about 2020, because I think everyone's glad to see the back of it. But obviously, I think for every company, it's definitely presented some challenges and forced people to adapt. So how has it affected Loom and Loom's artists, and how have you guys had to adapt?
Yeah, I don't want to be, we don't like to be ambulance chasers, but 2020, for all of its bad, it has shown people that there is millions of Americans and millions of people worldwide that want to support independent artists. And it came right at a time when we were kind of offering that solution, right? January hit, we launched virtual gifting, March hit, COVID hit. And within almost 2 weeks after that, we were Apple's app of the day, right? Because it was a solution for musicians that probably aren't big enough to make money on Spotify, or lost their 1 or 2 gigs in live entertainment, don't have a reliable, maybe like merch solution, and have people that actually want to support them, but maybe don't have a great way to form relationships with them or to distribute their content to them, right? So it came at a great time for allowing us to show people that, new technology can be used in music in the way it is also used in a lot of other industries. And I think it was really important for us to be able to tell that message. I think also for a lot of different we serve a lot of different communities too, right? We just had a great article from Forbes come out about what Loom is doing for a lot of female musicians, right? That now can better leverage their visual and audio content together and be able to package that and actually provide it more nicely to their fans that want to see it, right? So there's a lot of different also communities that we serve that are obviously in need. And one of the biggest things I actually look forward to with working with Soundcore is the ways in which we can expand some of those programs. Even, how can we even continue to support independent artists and shine a light on that in new ways?
I think that's what I'm super excited about as well, just because I know that within the Soundcore app, I'm not sure if I can state the figure on the podcast, but we have a lot of users in the app. So to actually give almost like a second platform where their voices are going to come out, and the way I think we can talk a little bit about how we've actually structured it. So the plan here is to really kind of every month we work on a completely new set of playlists from Loom that we've both kind of mutually agreed. And so every month our Soundcore users will be introduced to Loom uses that phrase, the best music you've never heard. So all these artists that are absolutely incredible and still kind of unknown. So I think we were really, really happy that we're able to kind of give them that additional audience, right, and additional reach. And then there will still be that option to go through to Loom as well and hear more of them and check out more of their music. So yeah, just super, super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to messaging it correctly and making sure. Sometimes people will hear a song and they don't even realize that the person behind it maybe has only been heard by probably 100 other people. It is really shocking, and Loom does provide a little bit of that. You get on and the first song you hear, you think it could be, you know, a top 40, you know, Billboard chart, and you realize that it has 67 plays or you know, something like that. And so I think one of the really cool things will be to see how we can convert users to, so, you know, come on to Soundcore and support artists on Loom. And I think there will be a lot of really, you know, it can only expand. You know, there's only cooler things we can do in the future with it.
Sure, and I think you'll probably back this up a bit, but I think that is a wall in itself, is actually persuading people that these musicians that you haven't heard actually are really, really good. Because, for example, some of the people that you've brought onto the podcast or to perform on Soundcore's live stream, I'm like, and these are, you call these guys micro musicians? Like they sound so good. You just can't believe
it. It's crazy. Like when you think about it around the world, there's probably someone sitting in their room right now that could be the next Ed Sheeran, but they will never get heard, or they might be heard, like you said, by like 10 people, 50 people. So I'm super excited because through all of this, and I guess from a fan's perspective, actually, you like finding someone that no one else knows about. And then it will just start growing and snowballing. So I'm super excited for the future because I think there'll be a lot of that. I think there'll be a lot of discovering of new artists through all of the app, everything.
Yeah. I mean, that was like my sister, you know. I remember like she was in high school. She was like early John Bellion. Like I'm talking like first 50 people kind of thing. And she was almost like territorial over it. You know what I'm saying? Like I think one of her friends got like a John Bellion tattoo and she was like pissed. Like there is a little bit of that, you know, like the one thing we always say to people is that like, you know, Loom is for like lean in music lovers. But the truth is that like all of our parents, like every generation before us, have also been lean in music lovers. You know what I'm saying? Like between 12 and 35, you're discovering your musical tastes. And this is just the way that this generation wants it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same as it's been since Woodstock. And now we can just, you know, give them the platform to be able to just honestly come on and meet other new people, you know, cool people. It really is, you really don't have to complexify it.
Totally. Where do you see music streaming going in the future, and like the artist fan connection over the next year or two? We're already at this point now. Where do you see it going?
I think there's kind of two sides of it, right? Like there's like the one-to-one and the one-to-many, right? Like the one-to-one, I think that's really where Loom thrives, right? It really is like, okay, I can create a community on Loom and have, you know, 50 people that I can release a song early to, or help me, you know, increase my reach even outside of Loom on socials. And that will always grow. We'll even grow into that with probably future feature sets and live streaming, things like that even. I think the really interesting one, and we probably won't be directly integrated into it because we are so focused on I think the independent artists and the artist community, will be the music side, the like concert side of live streaming. I think that'll be really interesting. I think it's, you know, it's done so well. We've seen Travis Scott even do it virtually in like the Fortnite example. So I think that honestly, the streaming space, both for music streaming and for live streaming, will undoubtedly be continuously used in so many different ways for musicians to form closer relationships with their fans and just to power better entertainment, you know, remotely for people.
I think we are so happy to be on that journey with you guys as well and be supporting that. And something that you mentioned earlier is that this really is just the beginning, because as we've just said, all we're doing so far is kind of popping some of those artists into the app. But I think there's still so much more room for expansion. Like something, again, that caught our eyes early on when we were first kind of talking to you guys was we didn't even realize it, but the currency that you use in Loom is called notes, which is also the same as the currency on Soundcore's community. So I don't know, there's got to be something there as well. And I think, yeah, just the future is very, very bright.
I mean, I love it. I think that it's really like the combination of, well, it's also really, which is really interesting, it's a combination of like where hardware and software meet, you know, like there's so much potential there. And obviously a few surprises that we probably have coming up over the next few months that'll go along with that as well. But Yeah, I mean, you really have to think that the possibilities from that perspective are truly endless. And you know, I think we'll probably have those conversations sooner rather than later.
Definitely. Sean, any more questions from you?
No. I think I'm just excited. That was
we
like
all
my
are.
excited voice. I was like, no. No, I think it's really awesome. I'm super excited for everything coming up, and it just all like, it's one of those moments when Lawrence, you first told me about it. When I first joined, I was like, it'd be so cool if we could have some sort of music in this Soundcore app on everyone's phone. And then when you first started speaking about Loom, and that was becoming a possibility, and then like you just said about the community and the whole notes, I remember just laughing, being like, this is one of those moments where it's a no-brainer.
The stars aligned,
yeah.
You know? Yeah, big time. Definitely.
Yeah, now I wanna run like the world's biggest like underground digital American Idol this year, and I think that that's one of the things we should also do, is really dive into like the full-blown competition space and do like one of like the largest independent artist digital competitions like Soundcore X Loom. I think that'd be sick. We'll get Neo and some of the guys to, you know, do it. We did we did a remix competition actually with Neo's You to Love featuring Jeremiah this summer, and it was a blast. I mean, thousands of artists applied and you know, got stems, created it. And if there's not some cool stuff we could do with some Soundcore merch and some Loom notes and all of that good stuff, I think we'd be, you know, missing a good opportunity there as well. Another one of the million exciting things coming up, hopefully.
And I think you mentioned that, you know, there are going to be some surprises, and I think there's definitely some room to tie that all together somehow. So, yeah. Anyway, Max, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, sharing, you know, your background, everything about Loom. We really appreciate it, and we hope to have you on again a little bit later in the year.
Absolutely. Sean, Lawrence, thank you both so much for taking the time to talk, and couldn't be more excited for everything that we all have coming up here.
Thanks, man. I'm super excited. I can't wait.